Hello everybody, Tanner here from Cryptic. I'm coming to you from the comfort of my home in Las Vegas. We're doing the February Q&A from the patrons. So they get to ask questions on the Patreon and I answer them here on YouTube for everyone to see. So our first question is from Nico. What's the maximum number of factions you think the game can support and maximum colors? Okay, so colors we've already talked about. Me and the team have discussed and we believe that the maximum colors of the game would be around 8. More than likely will be 8 colors, which will happen over the years eventually through multiple sets. And as far as the factions go, the sky is kind of the limit. Obviously in our Eternal format, if you want faction synergies, you're going to have to integrate those cards into future sets if you want to continue to build on those factions. But for now, we really have no plans in place for how many factions the game can support. As you know, in Magic the Gathering, which is my favorite game, there are hundreds of types. I mean, like, I don't know exactly how many, but there are a lot of different types of creatures. So there could be many types of citizens. And then who knows, in the future, there could be monocolored factions, there could be dual colored like we have now, of course, and then maybe even 3-4 color. I'm not even sure. So I guess we'll just have to see. We've got Robert who asked me, how is Tanner going to lead Cryptic to the promised lands? Actually, pretty simple answer. I'm going to treat Cryptic, the game, like a business because that's what it is. It's already a profitable business, makes money off the Patreon cards. We have an employee. We're establishing our roots here in Las Vegas and exploring every option we can to grow the business and treating it as such, having a marketing plan, having a plan for distribution in the future, establishing those relationships with American and Canadian distributors, possibly overseas eventually, printing in different languages. It's all about the organization expansion of the business. So treat Cryptic like a business and continue to expand it like I've expanded other businesses in the past, and use my experience as an entrepreneur to grow the game as a business. That's how we're gonna lead you to the promised lands. And of course the creative and the lore and making sure the gameplay is tight and the lore is interesting and engaging and deeply integrated into the game. And I think you got a winning recipe right there. So Joel asked me, any bonus packs in the February Patreon? No bonus packs for February patrons, but I do have some playtest decks on order that I'm going to be showing off in Orlando. Hopefully they show up in time, and eventually in Vegas at LGS's, so I can pull cards from those and maybe slip those into the February Patreon packs as a little bit of a bonus. Not the actual pack itself, but in your package. Well, there goes my idea for having it be one take. Alright, Zero asks, I would love to hear more about the ideas around eventual retail distribution. I know it's early, but would love to hear about expected rollouts or for sets, i.e. limited, first edition, unlimited, etc. So I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. I think that it's super important to treat this like a traditional TCG business, and that you have to have relationships and establish accounts with distributors. So North American distributors, including the United States and Canada, and you have to have them as a middleman between you and the LGSs, mainly so that people can purchase Cryptic to be on the shelves in their stores, not directly from us, but through a distributor, so they can add it to their pallets. So when they're ordering large quantities of Magic and Pokemon from these distributors, they can add a case of Cryptic, no problem at all, with barely any additional shipping. Whereas if I were to send it through the Cryptic warehouse and charge them FedEx, ground, or possibly freight, depending on the size of the order, the shipping per box would be astronomically higher, which would cut their margins and not even make it worth doing. On top of that, with the distributors, you get the added bonus that they actually will promote the game to the stores, and they'll say, hey, we've got this new product, these are the quantities, they're limited, if you want to partake and sell Cryptic at your store, we have it on the shelves. So you just basically have to go through distributors. It's how it's set up. There's built-in margins every step of the way for every party involved. It's actually a pretty awesome system, and it makes perfect sense financially for all parties involved. So I think as far as distribution goes, it'll be very traditional, very classic TCG distribution. See if I hit your question. As far as the rollouts go, our intention, our plan right now is currently to do 2 sets per year. As we increase our employees and our ability just to create on a faster time basis, we'll maybe possibly eventually go to 3 sets per year. But as of right now, it's 2 sets per year with a 6-set rotation for our standard format, which we've yet to name. And I think that's a good setup for now. There's going to be 11,000 Kickstarter boxes. As of right now, that is our plan moving forward. And our first order will be approximately 25,000 boxes, so we'll start with 11,000 Kickstarter, 14,000 of our Unlimited, which is yet to be named. I don't want to call it that, I think that sounds terrible. And from there, we basically just have to gauge interest and demand. We don't want to overprint, we don't want to underprint, we don't want the game die because there's not enough cards for the players, but we don't want the value of the cards and boxes in the secondary market to plummet and not make the boxes worth opening or owning. So we want to approach this as precisely as possible and use data from what we're seeing from our Kickstarter and from the LGSs and the distributors to basically determine how large the print runs are going to be and how far apart they're going to be. So we're doing it, I feel like a trading card business should, and actually paying attention to the numbers and gauging that interest to the best of our ability. And we're just pretty much going to go from there. Some of this will be trial by fire. We've obviously never owned and operated a trading card game company before, but I've owned and operated other companies that involve sourcing product and distributing said product throughout North America. And I know it can be a very finicky, very delicate balance, but I think as long as we get close and our intent is good and we do things based on the numbers, I think we're going to be all right. So hopefully that answers your question, Zero. Buff Unholy asks me, do you plan on keeping the Cosmo holo pattern for the Kickstarter cards or specifically for Patreon cards only? Also, do you ever plan on doing serialized cards? As far as the Cosmo holo pattern goes, we're no longer using that pattern for the Patreon cards. We're doing a full holo effect to match the aesthetic of our full art card. We're getting them made by a different company from the original printer that we had announced because of logistic and scheduling issues. So those specific types of art will only be available to patrons in those packs. They're true full arts that just feature the name, a little bit of basic artist information, and card number information. As far as the serialized cards go, I think that every trading card game is going to have to move into doing serialized cards of some kind. Whether it's a chase and a box topper, or a 1 in 500 chase card, or a signed artist card, or there's a lot of different ways you could do it. I do believe each trading card game will in some way be moving towards serialized cards for the chase element of it. So you want these boxes to be set up in a way that they're set up for draft, they're set up for collectors, they're set up for players. So you need to have plenty of staple cards in the boxes, but you also need to have plenty of special versions of the cards to basically hook up the collectors and investors. So you can satisfy all parties. There's always going to be some parties that are not happy with specific decisions, but it's our job to do our best to gauge the market, gauge the player base, and see exactly what they want and try to give it to them. That's kind of the motto around here for Cryptic, is we're trying to see exactly what our customers want and give it to them. I feel like it's a lot simpler than most people make it out to be, and trying to play guessing games or do just what I want to do or do just what Connor wants to do or Nico wants to do or whatever, I feel like that's just not the move. So we need to figure out what everyone wants, come to a consensus. There are going to be times when the players have to compromise slightly or the collectors have to compromise slightly, but I think we can come up with a healthy balance that makes everyone happy. Make the cards reasonably priced on the secondary market in bulk so that people can play the game, but also have cards that are super chase cards, possibly serialized or even just special editions of cards that are out there for the breakers, people that want to open cards. I myself have opened cards on Whatnot a lot, sold over 1,000 items on Whatnot, done a lot of eBay, YouTube breaks of Pokemon, and MTG, so I do know that I love the chase. I do love having something to chase after. But I also love the fact that with Cryptic booster boxes, you could sit down with a booster box and 4 friends and have a sealed event, or 8 friends and have a draft event just with the box of cards. You don't need any dice, you don't need any counters, nothing. You could just sit down, have fun with the box of cards. The box is set up to do that, but it's also set up to satisfy breakers, collectors, and investors. So hopefully that answers your question, Buff Unholy. That's actually all the questions we got from patrons this month. So if you guys want to get in on it, you can join, get access to our Overseer Patreon packs that are exclusive to those guys. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Obviously, I love shenanigans, dressing a little goofy and stuff. It's my house. But we do take this very serious. This is a real business to me already. I'm not personally pulling income off of it because I want to let the business grow as much as possible. But like I said, we already have an employee. It's a profitable business. Everything's set up nice. And moving forward, I got high hopes for Cryptic. So hopefully you guys want to join us on the ride, and hope you've enjoyed this Q&A. And that's it. Peace.